Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Chestnut Channel. Thanks for being here. Joining us today is Jarrett McPhee of New England Stone Lifting here in New England. He's a modern day pioneer, according to me. He's sparking a true revival of the fascinating sport of stone lifting, little known sport. Welcome, Jarrett. Thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me, Ray. I'm grateful to be here, and I'm excited to talk about stone lifting and Highland Games today.
Good. I know you're involved in a group of other people in New England that are getting a lot of just energy going about the Highland Games, about stone lifting, other things. You're really getting noticed, and it's
Ah,
working.
thank you very much. We're trying to create like a very inclusive community here in New England, and
Okay,
make sure that stone lifting is something that everybody can do. So I'm glad that we're getting noticed for that.
right. Well, can you tell us a little bit about the history of it and sort of where it started? I know it's a worldwide history, but whatever you think is proper to fill us in on.
So I guess the best place to start is where I learned about it. Well, my entry into stone lifting was um, a few years ago. It's 7 or 8 years ago now, actually. Uh, I set myself a goal to do Highland Games before I turned 40, and I wasn't able to accomplish that because the Highland Games around me, every Highland game that you had to do was a game that you had to have actually participated in a previous Highland game to get into because all the
Wow.
fields were small, like the groups were small, that type of thing.
Okay, yep.
So I took a step back and I was like, well, what's like proto Highland games and ties in with strongman and stuff like that.
Hmm.
And it was stone lifting. I had seen like uh, Martin Jancis and Bill Crawford and Stoneland and a bunch of other videos like that.
Okay.
And I picked up Martin and Dr. Bill's book, uh, Stoneland, A Test of Strength Revived. Um, it's a book about Scottish stonelifting, about the heritage, the history, and the
Wow.
location of a bunch of those stones. Um, and I, on my 40th birthday, went over to Scotland and lifted a whole bunch of historic stones, starting with the Inverstone. Um, but that's my personal story. The story of stone lifting itself is much longer.
Right.
Stone lifting in Scotland was used as a for a couple of reasons. It was they called them Clockmere, the manhood stones, and a lot of these stones were lifted to usher you into manhood. They
Wow.
were also, yeah. So
Hmm.
when a youth reached a certain age, they were considered a man if they could lift a specific stone to a specific spot,
Right.
um, and they were considered fully part of the clan.
Yeah.
They were also used in the early Highland Games in Scotland uh, as testing stones to see who was the strongest of each of the clans who would be part of the laird's retinue, the people who would protect the people in charge, basically.
Sure.
So that's Scotland. Iceland has a similar tradition, but theirs was based around like their seafaring their seafaring fisher folk. Um,
Right.
they would use the stones as testing stones to see how much of a share on the boat you would get. They had multiple levels of stones,
Right.
with the smallest being weakling, and then halfling, then half strong, then full strong. Full strong got a full share, half strong got a half share, uh, halfling got a quarter share, and weakling got less.
Of the journey of the ship's journey's take, whatever it was,
Exactly.
fishing or whichever. Right. Okay. I
Yeah,
see.
yeah, totally.
Huh.
So those stones are
Cool.
all over Iceland too.
Oh yeah, yeah. Good job.
And there's similar traditions all over the world. Uh, they're in Spain, they're in Greece, they're in Japan,
Ah,
they're on like the Polynesian Islands. Hawaii has a stone lifting tradition. we're starting to find stones over here in North America that are related to the native tribes, but in New England and America in general, there didn't really seem to be as much of a history,
Hmm.
because because to be fair, like when people came over from Europe and colonized America, they kind of decimated a lot of that history, like
Sure.
because a lot of the native history was oral,
Right.
so we don't have a lot of that same history recorded. So what myself and a few other people around the country are doing, we're taking the traditions of other places and applying them to the stones that we have here. And we're creating historic stones or modern stones at this point, but in the future they'll be historic.
Right. Right. So making a tour of various stones and things is a thing to do. It's a tour of little triumphs of challenges, and not little. I shouldn't have said
Yeah,
that word.
yeah. It's really wonderful that we're taking a lot of these traditions and bring them over to North America. Um, I'm really grateful to have a really good group of folks with me over here at New England Stonelifting, and we've managed to set up quite a few stones in our neighborhood already. We have I'm in Rhode Island, so a lot
Okay.
of the stones are here,
All right. Are
but
they?
because I like lifting them and I like setting them up for people to come
Right.
and lift them near me.
Why not?
Pardon me. Yeah, so we have a series of Riverside, Rhode Island, where we have the shield and the stone, which is a stone that you pick up from the ground, carry it around a plinth as many times as you can, and then place it on top of the plinth.
Ah,
We have the Saving Stone, which is in a really beautiful location on Saving Point, right on the water. That is a 270-pound stone that anybody can come down and lift. We have uh, one of the heaviest testing stones in the area, the Squantum Tooth. It's 457 pounds.
my goodness.
Two of us have managed to get it off the ground, but nobody has really stood with it yet. So we're really excited to see somebody come down and do that one. Um, we have one of John Lundstrom's testing stones. Uh, John Lundstrom is a giant in the stone lifting and Highland Games community, and we're lucky to be the keeper of one of his stones.
Okay.
And we have a 390-pound stone that is currently called the Unnamed Stone, that I have been working on for over a year, that I just yesterday got to chest. So I'm pretty grateful to have accomplished that.
Okay. I'm thinking a semi-intimidating name might be Touch Knot, Jarrett. What do you think?
That would be a good name. I think that we can find a stone near you that we could name it, that we could name Touch Knot. Um, my current thinking for the unnamed stone is skata, which means shit in Greek, um,
Ah,
because that was the thing that was the first bit of Greek my grandfather taught me growing up,
hmm.
and he taught that to me anytime I beat him in cribbage.
Yeah.
And that stone has beat me so many times that I felt like that might be
Right.
a good name for it. But I'm not sure if that's going to be the name because I want to be respectful of the stone as well. So
Plus, I think it's neat. Every stone has its own setting and a little bit of a story and everything. And you're starting to do this, and I know that way after you and I are gone, these things are going to still be there. They're not going to blow away in the wind, that's for sure.
yeah,
Um, right. So, what about conditions a little bit, Jarrett? Like humidity, or uh, I'm not sure what else to say. What kind of conditions of the day could affect this?
well,
Anything?
the biggest one is if the stone's wet, it's going to be very difficult to lift.
Okay.
If it's
Sure.
raining, it's more difficult. But like people still lift stones in the rain and in the snow.
Okay.
Like Scotland's not the driest country, and neither is Iceland, and neither are a lot of these places.
Right.
So you just have to get incredibly strong to be to be able to lift them, which I think is pretty great. It's very much a personal test. Um,
Right.
with stone lifting, it's similar to Atlas stones and strongman, but you're not actually able to use tacky or any of those things. The only thing that
Okay.
you can use is chalk, um, because these stones are really historic artifacts that we are lucky to be able to be lifting.
Right.
So we want to respect them and we don't want to change them for other people. So at most, you can chalk up the stone, chalk up your arms, and
Right.
go at it.
Hell yeah.
And if it's raining out, that's probably a good thing to do. You dry off the stone, chalk it up, and
Right.
take a whack at it and see if you can lift it.
Now I know you can't invite hundreds of people to a little point in Rhode Island on the seacoast would be nice, but where can people see this done, Jarrett? I know you have some things going on this year, correct, with some other groups in New England. Can you tell us about that New England Scottish Alliance a little bit?
Yeah, so the New England Scottish Alliance is an alliance formed between uh, the main Highland Games, No Fame Games, New England Stonelifting, and a bunch of other groups. We currently have uh, three big events that are coming up. The first is June 15th
Right.
at Pheno Field in Milford, Mass. And that's No Fame Games. That's the home games. It's going to be one of the biggest. It's going to be one of the biggest Highland Games in New England, if not America, this year.
Yes.
We have over 130 people participating.
Incredible. Yes.
Yeah, it's super cool. And we have one of John Lundstrom's testing stones there. The testing stone that's going to be there is John Lundstrom's lifting stone. It's a 422-pound one-handed lift. It's a ringed stone, and it's an Atlas stone. It's gigantic.
It's a what now? I missed that word. A ring.
It's a ringed stone.
Okay.
So there's stones that are you just pick them up, and then there's ones that have rings on them that were used, like the Dinny stones or any of the walking stones, the nickel walking stones, any of those type of stones.
A ringed. Okay.
Yeah. The one that John created was his personal stone that he used for training grip strength. So it's a one-handed lift for time, and it will be available for people to try, and hopefully somebody will set a time record with it.
Right.
Eric Dawson from Titan Barbell is the keeper of that stone, and he's bringing it down for us for the event. Right around the corner from No Fame Games is one of our favorite stones in New England, the Huckleberry Stone. It's a 335-pound stone, situated right down the street from the games, in a disc golf park. It's a lot of fun, and we hope to take people down there to have a try at it.
Right. Yeah, very accessible too, that one.
Yep. Yeah. Right off a little bike path, out of the way of everybody. Just a wonderful, fun little stone that Josh found a few months ago at this point.
That's the one.
Yeah. Wow, dude. Wow.
Okay, that was fast.
All day.
Yeah, you're good. You're ready. Big pop.
Yup.
Yeah.
Oh, come on.
Drive.
Come on. Oh, you are something else. Unbelievable.
Wow.
Right. Yeah. It's going to be great. The No Fames game. I was just there yesterday, Jarrett, at Pheno Field. I made a little video down there just taking a look at it for everybody. So it's quite a big place. And And I hope we fill it. 9 events and the Highlander.
Yes, we're going to have the Highlander as well, which is a combination of Highland Games and Strongman.
Okay.
There's a lot of overlap between the two sports, but they are very distinct. Highlander um, does have like a history with Highland Games. It wasn't called Highlander. Like Highland Games is really heavy athletics, and
Yeah.
heavy athletics encompasses not just the traditional Highland Games stuff of hammers and weights and caber and sheath, but it also encompasses things like tug of war, which we're going to have teams doing by pulling a truck, and
Right.
they have some stone lifting stuff, so they're going to be doing stone to shoulder, things of that nature.
Okay.
Yeah,
Oh, nice.
so that's going to be awesome. There's, I think, 5 teams that are competing in the Highlander this year.
Right.
So that's going to be pretty awesome. It's going to run concurrently with the Highland Games.
Right. I think there's going to be some locally developed groups, some Highland athletes and some local groups. Perhaps I just want to say the word firemen, but that makes me think of that. But I don't know. Local town groups of people that got together and want to get sticks together and see what they can get done. So this is going to be great.
I know that there's like 3 or 4 gyms doing it, and I know that there's some firefighters doing this as well.
Right.
I haven't really paid as much attention to what's going on at Highlander,
Okay.
because I've been trying to get the stone stuff square and the Highland Games stuff square.
Right. Yeah. So someone says, I've been in a gym for 10 years. I can lift anything. Let me at it. What do you say? Never been on a field, never put his arms around a stone or her. What would you say?
I would say you're going to be pleasantly surprised. It's a movement that you're familiar with, if you've ever put your hands on something like an Atlas stone, but it is a whole unique movement because every stone is different and every stone is a challenge. Um, one 200-pound stone will feel different than another 200-pound stone based on weight distribution, based on the type of stone it is, like how
Right.
smooth it is versus how rough it is.
Yeah.
Like there's no real one-to-one correlation.
Sure.
Yes, if you can deadlift 600 pounds, you can probably pick a stone up off the ground, but it's a lot of technique, and it's a completely different thing.
Right.
And the thing that I would say is don't get discouraged about not being able to pick up what you think you should be able to. The stones don't care, and they're just gonna be there until you can get them.
Right.
So the good thing is there's multiple levels of lift success in stone lifting. There are the 5 traditional levels, which is wind beneath the stone, then stone to lap, then stone to chest,
Okay.
then stone to shoulder, and then finally a press overhead. So if you succeed at any single one of those levels, you've succeeded with that stone, and you have a goal for the next time you go back.
Right. Right.
So
So a stone that looks symmetrical, an oval or whatever, it may have a heavy end that you're not expecting, right, Jarrett?
yeah, totally.
Okay.
We have one of the stones that we have here in Riverside is the Shield and the Stone, and it is 176 pounds, but it's like triangular shaped, and one side is thicker than the other, and it has some incursions of quartz in it, which changes the density and how the weight's balanced. So if you pick it up wrong, there's a good chance that you can't get it where you want it to be at first.
Okay.
I've been using that stone for years, and I still struggle with it sometimes, just because it's awkward.
Right. Martin Janziks. He's going to be over at is it the Fort number 4 and perhaps the main games, I think.
Yep. So it's Martin Jancis. He is coming over for the Festival at Fort 4, which is our second event, which is June 29th this year. It's at Fort number 4 in Charleston, New Hampshire.
Charlestown, yep.
Charlestown, New Hampshire.
Right.
And he and I are doing a stone event up there. He is working. He's going to do a demo session with some folks.
Nice.
I'll probably do a demo session with some folks as well.
Yeah.
And we're also working with Broken Caber Athletics,
Yes.
which is an adaptive athlete group.
Right.
And that's going to be awesome. We've got about 13 athletes right now for stone lifting, a combination of men and women. And we're going to do 5 different events, culminating with another Lundstrom stone, the Lundstrom walking stones, which are making their debut at this event. They had previously lived at Loon Mountain and were the Loon walking stones.
Ah, I see.
But now that they're not at Loon anymore, we are rechristening them the Lundstrom stones in honor of John and all that he did for Highland Games.
Lovely.
Yeah.
That
event's going to be giant too. We have a giant pro class that's for Highland Games that's happening. We have an elite amateur championship happening. We have the stone lifting event happening. There's a full Scottish festival going on around it as well, including bands and sheep herding, Highland cows, dancers, whole bunch of other stuff. It's going to be really cool. And the fort is beautiful. It's right on the river, the Connecticut River there.
Yeah, I can't wait for this. Hello everybody, Tut's not here. I'm just down the street from my Clanhattan tent, and this sign caught my attention. It says attention, and therefore I came over here. The festival at Fort 4, June 29th at Charlestown, New Hampshire. It's a historic fort, a French and Indian War reenactment fort. Just take a look at this lineup. Almanac, Charlie Zam, Rachel Walker, Highland Dance, Highland Coos, Border Collies, Clans, the Portland Reavers, Lisbon Pub, Twisted Kilt Club, Dunlop Highlander Band, Williamans Athletics, Men's, Stone Lifting, Opening Ceremonies, Vendors, Food, Tours, Fun for the Kids, oh my God, get up here, the Scottish Wildcat Organization, the Argyle Regiment. Get up here and meet the Tuscanaut folks, June the 29th. Charlestown, New Hampshire. See you there.
Oh, it's so cool. I'm really excited to see how this goes down. We've been putting a lot of work into this.
Ah, great, man. Can you tell me a little bit about Martin, if you don't mind? Again, so he lives in Scotland. He's been invited here to New Hampshire in June.
Yes, Martin is very much one of the main reasons why I got involved in stone lifting.
Okay.
He's one of the people who kind of brought stone lifting back to the public consciousness. He was involved in Stoneland, the Rogue documentary. He and Dr. Bill Crawford actually literally wrote the book about stone lifting. And he has lifted pretty much all of the historic stones over there. And he is a very well-respected stone lifting teacher as well. He does online coaching for people around the world.
Wow.
And he's been gracious enough to come over here for the past few years and do demos and show people how to do stone lifting and like really be wonderful with his time. It blows my mind that in 2019 I went over to Scotland for my first historic stone tour using Dr. Bill and Martin's book, and now I'm running a stone lifting competition in New Hampshire with them. Like 5 years later, it's pretty cool.
So you're over there with the book, right? A field guide to the stones, and you're
basically
that could be the pasture that over that stone wall. Maybe let's have a look. That kind of thing. People's pastures, or what are you looking at over there, Jarrett?
In Scotland, The
Yeah.
stones are in a lot of really beautiful places. They're in graveyards. Um, they're in fields. They're in front of castles. They're there's one called the Dripping Cave Stone, which is down a mountain path down to the water, and then you cross a river that you can only cross at low tide and have to get to the cave.
What a thing.
Um, yeah, and my absolute favorite and first historic stone was the Inver Stone. Um, so the Inver Stone is a 265-pound stone. It's one of the it's one of the most storied and historic ones. It lived outside of the cottage of June Richards for many years. Her husband and her were the keepers of the stone pretty far back. And it's been lifted by a lot of strongmen, including people like Bill Kazmaier, and world's strongest man competitors all over the place.
Okay.
And that was the first stone that I got to do. So we like drove up to her cottage, and I've never been as nervous going up to a place to like ask about something
Yep.
as when I walked up to the cottage door and knocked on the door and was like, "Can I lift your stone?" And they were like, "Yeah, of course, come go for it."
Right.
And June was incredibly wonderful. She invited us in for tea and cookies afterwards. After we did the lift, I got to sign my name in the guest book that said that I was one of the people who lifted the stone and visited her.
Ah, so cool, man.
Talked about her birthday, and
Yep.
it was just a really wonderful experience.
Ah, I'm
And
going to recommend that after everyone watches our interview, that they watch that Stoneland. He's mentioned the word Stoneland a couple, three times now, folks. That's a documentary by Dr. Bill Crawford and Martin Janzix. Am I saying that right? Or Janix?
it's featuring them.
Okay.
It's uh, Rogue
Road
Fitness
Fitness.
put out the documentary. It's on YouTube.
Yes.
And it has them in it. There's a couple other really wonderful uh, stone lifting documentaries that Rogue put out as well, right around the same time.
Okay.
There's one about Iceland and there's one about Spain.
Wow. I love that Stoneland one. I'll have to watch these other two as well then, Jarrett. Thanks.
Yeah, they're wonderful. I
Yeah.
highly recommend them.
Yeah, I'm really getting an education this week. I've already been on with two heavy athletes and another one next week.
Oh, cool.
And yourself, yeah, and yourself. Yesterday we had a nice talk with a guy, a lot about the mechanics and um, the physics and everything it takes to do that stuff on the field and what
Yeah,
the equipment is, what it's made of, what it weighs, all that stuff. That was really neat. And another guy more about what it's like to be an athlete and go to all the games and society more of it and the feel of it.
yeah,
And you're just completing everything else here in New England right now. And that another person next week. You guys are really rounding this out for me. We're learning a lot, and now I can watch things happen and appreciate it more, Jarrett. You know what I mean? Know what's going on, what you've gone through to get where you're going, and what, everything like that. Because some of those athletics in the field, I didn't understand. What does that weigh? How far is it? I saw how far it went, but how far should it have gone, or
yeah.
how far did he intend it to go? And a lot of those things are just not that obvious, but that's why I like to have folks like you on here to get the up close and the real 411 on this stuff.
Thank you. Yeah, I appreciate you having me on. I'm always happy to talk about stone lifting or Highland Games with people. I've got the New England Stone Lifting page that I run, and if people want to get in touch with me there, I'm very happy to answer questions or help people work through sticking points or anything like that. Um,
Right.
Stone lifting is it's such a weird solitary sport, and it's something, and I really love that. I love that it is very much you against a stone. um and I love the fact that like it is truly for everybody. It doesn't matter who you are, how you
Mhm.
identify, anything.
Yeah.
Like so long as you're so long as you're trying against the stone, you're doing it. And I am very happy to support anybody who wants to try.
I've noticed on Instagram you have quite a lot of you've developed a lot of training, inside training, off-season training that's going to, prepare you for this kind of thing, trying to the best you can to simulate what you go through in a field at the stone.
Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit about that? Is that something you've developed on yourself, by yourself, or got from others?
Um, a lot of it is stuff that I've picked up over the years, but there are a bunch of people that I talk with kind of regularly about this.
Yeah.
One of them, Sean Urquhart, uh, out in Ohio. He's really good about understanding movements and how to like translate things over from being in the field to being in the gym. Because
Okay.
sometimes you can't get to the field, sometimes you can't get to stones.
Right.
So what all of the in gym training stuff is for breaking down the movement and getting through different sticking points. Um, one of my favorites that I recommend to everybody is the squat morning. It's also known as the Kong squat. It's a horrible little movement where you start by doing a good morning, then you sit down into a squat, then you go back to a good morning, then you stand up. So that really trains sort of like your back for the pick, for the movement to your lap, for the movement to stand,
I see.
and get you really, really strong. They are not anybody's favorite, but they've increased my strength pretty quickly.
Right. And so it's simulating the lap, the chest, the shoulder, or at
Yeah.
least the lap and chest, I should say.
Yep. And the pick. It simulates the pick too.
Pick means you're picking it up. Okay, you're right. You've
Pick
got it.
pick up off the ground. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, because when you're picking up a stone, you're in a very disadvantageous position. You're you're very much like you're rounded over the stone, you're grabbing it, you're trying to like keep your arms straight like a deadlift,
Right.
and then you leverage back and you're hinging to get it up off the ground. Not a lot of like powerlifting or weightlifting movements simulate that.
Right. Sure. It's going to
So
be very difficult to draw a parallel there. Very difficult.
yeah. So the squat morning is a great one. I also find that Zercher squats from the floor are great movements. Uh, if you have the flexibility, getting down into a Zercher squat, getting your arms under the bar, and really standing up with it is a very good analog. And one of Sean's favorite movements is the banded kettlebell swing, where you take a kettlebell as heavy as you can find, and you use this as like a finisher for your workout. Kettlebell as heavy as you can find, take a band and wrap it around your waist and around the power rack that you've been squatting in that day,
Okay.
and do traditional kettlebell swings like shoulder high kettlebell swings with a real hard pop and drive your hips through against the band as you're doing that.
Hmm.
And that will help you with the movement from lap to standing, because it really teaches you to get your hips through very quickly. And it is, when you're doing it with a super heavy kettlebell, it builds up your muscle base pretty quickly.
Right.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this, just for kind of a question, just for fun. I'm picturing
Sure.
myself out in the Huckleberry woods there. Now
Yep.
you've just picked up I don't think you've just picked up a 350-pound stone. Now your boots are going in the ground a little bit, aren't they? Are you
No,
sinking a little?
no. The most of the grounds are pretty stable.
Okay.
Um, the only place that one of the places that you will find yourself sinking just a little bit is Dritvik in Iceland, where they have this series of stones to pick. There's um, because that's actually a black sand beach, and it's all these little black pebbles,
Yep.
so it sort of moves like pea gravel.
Right.
So you find yourself fighting against that slightly, but
Yeah.
the ground's pretty dense, and being able to pick up, like you can pick up the stone
Right.
without it denting. It's when you put it down that the ground dents.
There you go. Right. It must be a great moment when that sunshine first gets under that rock.
It's incredibly satisfying.
It's got to be.
I had a friend down yesterday, and we did a small stone tour. I had a couple friends down yesterday, and we did a small stone tour.
Yeah.
And one of them is just getting into stone lifting. And we went down to our Saving Point stone, which is 280 pounds, 270 pounds, pardon me. And he didn't know if he'd be able to even get it off the ground. And he actually broke ground with it, like almost up to his knees. And you could see the sun beneath it. And when I showed him the video, just the biggest smile. Like it's such a
Right.
satisfying feeling.
Jarrett, we only have a couple of minutes left. Could you just give us a little
Sure.
piece about what you told me when we first came on before we started recording this, folks? Jarrett told me a little personal best, a little personal victory of his. Could you tell us that again?
Sure.
Thank you.
So we have a stone at my yard. It's currently called the Unnamed Stone. It is 390 pounds, and I have been working on it for over a year. I've been trying so hard to get this thing to chest, and I just have failed over and over and over again. And yesterday, during the stone tour, I was like, this feels like the week that I can probably do this. So I took 3 attempts at it. The first 2 attempts I got to lap and stood, but it was down by my waist, and
Okay.
that's not getting the stone to chest. And then the third one, I went over and just pulled high and hard, and it came up and actually got to chest, and I was so excited that in
Nice.
all the next videos of everybody lifting, I'm just in the background giggling. Like I had such an adrenaline and dopamine dump that like
Right.
I was just uncontrollably laughing because
Cool.
I had worked on it for so long.
Right.
It was so awesome, and I'm really excited that that's now a thing that I have accomplished. I've got a video of it, and I will be editing it together and putting it up on the New England Stone Lifting page within a couple days.
Nice.
Yeah,
I'd like to include some video of what you do on here too. Maybe not that
totally.
one, but just some various things that you could send me. I'll insert them in our talk here, Jarrett, and so people
Cool.
can get an idea of what we're talking about a little bit.
Cool. Totally.
One other thing, no one wants to walk in the woods the first time and do this alone. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, some like you can, like
Yeah.
it doesn't like pick it. You can like it's great to go with friends, but
Yeah.
like you can also just go do it yourself. Like
Right.
it doesn't require anything.
Yeah.
Just see a stone and you're like, I wonder if I can pick that up. And you pick it up. But um, finding a community of people that have similar interests is always
Sure.
great.
Right.
I highly recommend it. We have a really great community here in New England if people are interested in doing stuff.
Yeah.
And like I said, everybody's welcome.
Good.
Um,
Well, thank you, Jarrett. This has been a fantastic talk. I really appreciate you coming on the Touchnot channel. Quite an education.
Thank you very
Everything I
much, Ray.
expected it to be. I hope you enjoyed it as well.
I did.
And,
Thank you very much, Ray. I appreciate your time, and hi to everybody out there.
all right. Well, good. We'll see you at on June 15th at Pheno Field in Milford, Mass.
Perfect.
All righty.
Look
Take care
forward
till
to it.
then.
Later
Touchnot,
on, all.
everyone.